The Rush. Thanks for being with us. Super excited about this segment, a basketball story with Coach Tyler Roberts, Dixie High basketball. He's going into his ninth year as the head coach of the program. He's been there for 19 years, one of the most respected coaches and programs in the state, year in and year out. Coach, we're starting with going back to the early years of Tyler Roberts, my friend. Can you remember the best youth kind of team that you played on where you had a great team experience as a youngster playing basketball? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I would say, back in the day, I think youth basketball wasn't really, there wasn't a lot of AAU going on. And so Coach Robinson, obviously at Dixie High School, was my head coach, and he just kind of organized some summer camps, I guess. And then we went to Vegas one time. It was like the first time ever going to Vegas. And I remember, being a young point guard, I guess, young guy in high school, and we go down there and it was definitely a lot of athletic guys in that gym, which kind of scared us at the first time going to that tournament. But then moving forward, I think it would be just high school basketball. Playing for Dixie, playing for Coach Robinson, and then just being involved with that program with him.
What was I don't know, the perception of Dixie basketball when you were a player? I'm sure it's similar to what it is now, but kind of take us back to how Dixie High basketball was viewed in that Coach Robinson era when you were playing.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, back then, obviously, our rival, was Cedar for all those years. Then it kind of escalated to, hey, Pine View's here now. And then my sophomore year is when Snow Canyon came to town basically. And then we had that rival because all the Snow Canyon kids were going to Dixie, and then they branched off and went over to Snow Canyon. So that was kind of an instant rival that we had there just because there were some of our friends that way. But I think Dixie, just everybody knows Dixie, right? I mean, it's been around for so long, and all the past coaches with Coach Don Lay back in the day, and just building a program through him and through his footsteps. Every coach has kind of tried to live that legacy.
What is it about the Dixie, you kind of alluded to it there, Coach, but just kind of the Dixie culture that it's just like it's obviously a special place and a special school to a lot. I'm thinking of Mike Bear, who's just do or die Dixie his whole life. Roger Christensen, who's been the announcer there forever, and we could list probably hundreds more diehard fans that come to the games even after their kids aren't playing there anymore or grandkids even. How would you describe that Dixie feel, that Dixie culture?
I mean, for me, obviously, I played there. I went there, graduated from there. It's where I met my wife, and all my kids have gone there. So it's definitely special to me to represent Dixie High School. But the question you asked, I think it's deep because I think you're talking about a school that has so much tradition. Nobody understands that until you feel it, until you're there. And the traditions we have, and the D Week, for example, that we have is exceptional. It's unbelievable, and the kids, the opportunity that we have to do things in the community that way is kind of special. But I think exactly what you said. It's people that have been involved with the school for so long, and those deep traditions that make people want to come back. I mean, we've had players and parents, like you've said, from past that just keep coming back because they want to see, who Dixie is and who we represent. And they know that, through being a part of that program and the culture that's been built there for all these years.
Sponsored by Grass Creek Construction, bringing visions to life for over 20 years. This interview is brought to you by Appliance Wholesalers Plus. Trust the boys that sell GE and Samsung at AWP. They've been supporting Region 9 athletes for over 25 years at AWP. What would you say was your biggest win as a player?
Biggest win as a player. I mean, I had a pretty cool experience. My senior year was kind of a fun experience. It was our semifinal game against Coach Hodson at UVU, and there was like 5.4 seconds left, and it was a tied game. They made two free throws, and we came down, and Cody Bundy actually hit me on the wing, and I had a game winner, buzzer beater. So that was kind of a lot of fun, just to put our team into a championship position to be able to win a championship. And then so that was a pretty cool experience, obviously, for me as a player.
Wow. Okay. We need to get footage of that, coach. We need to overlay that as we're talking here. Go back into the archives. What was your least favorite drill as a player in practice?
I don't know that I had a least favorite drill. I'm not gonna lie. I just trusted my coach, coaches at the time, and even running. I think there was times that Coach Robinson, even back in the day, was like, "Hey, you guys got conditioning today," and he knew that it would probably be harder than what he was gonna do. And so I think that was just, I mean, it was a team of, we were all best friends, and we had grinded all summer for years.
Yeah.
It was time to just, we're like, whatever it takes, we'll put in whatever, amount of time or an effort and drills. So honestly, I don't think there was ever really a drill that we didn't like because we just wanted to get better.
And what was Coach Robinson like, and what has his influence been on you as you've grown in the game and have become a head coach yourself?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, very respectful coach in the state of Utah. And what's fun is his son Kenny is my assistant coach, so it's been fun, obviously having him to all of our games and being a part of that, and obviously being able to coach B Rob was a fun experience. But having, I've even over the years, I've still picked his brain. I've still, had a great relationship with him. He was a great mentor, and just the way he, loved his players and wanted, try to get the most out of them. And so, no, I mean, even to this day, we still talk, and yeah, I appreciate him and his guidance over the years.
At what point did you decide in your life that you wanted to get into coaching? And you may have decided when you were playing high school that one day I want to be a coach, but what was that process like?
Yeah, I was playing a lot, right when I got done at UNLV. Just when I moved back to St. George, everybody's playing, 3, 4 nights a week. It was some really good basketball, and we'd travel around and play in some tournaments. And about 20, I think it was 28, when I turned 28, I had a foot injury that they basically said, "Hey, you're probably not gonna be able to play again." Had like 4 or 5 surgeries. And at that point, I was like kind of depressed because basketball is my love, right? And the job came open at Dixie High School, and Ryan Cuff put in for it, and the principal Bergeson at the time said, "Hey, I know a guy that you might like, you might want to get involved in our program." And so Ryan got the job, and the night he got the job, he actually called me. We met at the high school, and seriously, from that point on, it's been an amazing experience. Obviously, being able to coach underneath him for 10 years was a blessing, and then just kind of moving forward and being able to take over Dixie High School after that it's been an amazing experience.
What would you say is a lesson that you would pass on to somebody who is thinking about getting into coaching, or even a younger version of yourself, when it comes to um, kind of dealing with kids, mentoring kids, how to communicate best with them? Like, what are a couple of things that you would pass on to a young coach in that regard?
I would say one, I mean, most coaches are extremely competitive. Like we want to win,
Yeah.
and I think that's number one is you do want to be competitive. But I do think there's a fine line. I think the things that I've learned, through the years is what I talk to my guys about is one is it's bigger than basketball, especially when you're dealing with high school kids, and most of them won't go on and play at the next level. And so I think just being able to have a good experience, a good high school experience, and be able to, have that family atmosphere. That's why I kind of created that fly fam idea
Yeah.
of just that family atmosphere. Just everybody kind of buying into one and just having that high school experience. So I would say that it's not all about the wins and losses. That's probably the most joy that I get through coaching is just the relationships that I have obviously during the year, but then even after, getting those wedding invitations, getting those
Yeah.
mission calls, going to watch that kind of stuff is really what I probably enjoyed the most. And then it's been fun because my family's, my wife's really supportive of it, and they've all just, bought in and wanted to be a part of it as well. So it's kind of been fun just to, have it be a family thing, a fly fam thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, this question might be tough off the top of your head, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I've got an answer, but we'll see what you have. Um, I often think of being an offensive coordinator in football where you're up above seeing something that you just told the guys to do and then they execute it beautifully has got to be one of the most satisfying feelings as a coach. And I think similarly in basketball, when you call a timeout, draw something up, the guys execute it beautifully in a huge moment has got to just be one of the best feelings ever. Can you take us through a moment like that in a big game where you drew something up and the guys just executed exactly how you wanted them to and it worked out?
Yeah, I mean, I can go back to that state championship game where we played Skyview, and our key was obviously Mason Falslove. And
Yeah.
I still remember one specific play where our goal was to try to get him in foul trouble, and I still remember there's a defensive play where we basically forced him into traffic, and we said, hey, just make sure you take a charge. Even if there's kind of contact, not a lot of contact, we got to just try to get a charge, and actually ended up being his fifth foul. And that was kind of a fun moment because at that point it's like, dang, we actually have a chance to win this game.
Yeah.
And it was just a big moment, momentum for us to know, like, I mean, hey, we've executed, exactly our game plan, and obviously we ended up having a good experience there.
And let's dig in a little bit more on that championship because that was such a cool, because they had basically all their stars back from the previous year where I think they won it. And you guys were able to overcome a kind of a Goliath that year for the state championship. Tell us a little bit more about that win and that team, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, they were the number one seed. We were the number two. So we did feel like we obviously had a chance. I mean, that's
Yeah.
sport. Anybody can beat anybody. But I think, that team was special that year because we just had a lot of guys that just bought into their roles. I mean, I had a couple seniors that weren't getting as much time as they wanted, and they still bought in and just brought it every single day at practice. And the couple minutes or few minutes that they get in the games, they'd go in and just play it 100%. And then I think having some underclassmen, like Carson Forsey, Jeff Cox, Isaac Finlinson, and Ethan Bennett. I mean, if we go back and watch that game, there's some plays that are just like, holy cow, these underclassmen just stepped up and gave us a chance to win that game. And then Jordan Matthews and Noah Lemke, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
were huge parts of that. So
Yeah.
Rich got a steal right at the end. I mean, it's just a team effort, and that team's just always going to be special. And what's fun is they're all good buddies, and they still get together and they play open gym. When everybody's in town, they just go play. So it's been a lot of fun.
I'm trying to ask a question about, do you have any, tell me if you have anything for this, just like the setup of high school basketball, the playoffs, like anything that you would change about any of it, or is it like a perfect setup? I'm just curious your perspective.
No, I don't think it's a perfect setup. Right now, I think I still don't think you should play a region team. I think our regions are so prepared for each other. I still think I kind of like that other way, like it's a 1 versus 4 seed from another
Yeah.
region. But I do like the RPI idea. I mean, I think that's okay. But yeah, I would say I think there should be something in place that at least you don't see a Region 19 till maybe semis or whatever it may be.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree with all of that. Okay, so the championship we just discussed. Now let's go back to 2016 when you were an assistant with Coach Cuff, winning the first championship in a long time for Dixie High.
Yeah, I mean, again, another amazing team, another awesome experience. I think that one was special because we had lost it the year before to Pineview in the championship, and it had been 46 years since Dixie had had a championship. So winning that 2016 was extremely special. Obviously, with Tyler Bennett, kind of being our captain, our leader that year, and just being a part. Of course, being an assistant coach, you just learn so much from a great coach of Ryan Cuff, and just what to prepare for and how to, especially playoffs, right? There's so much different preparation for playoffs than there is just, region games. So that was fun being a part of that team. And just even today, I mean, I saw Malachi Otis, like 2 days ago, and it's just fun to be able to reconnect and give them a hug and see what they're up to. So it's been fun.
And then I still think the best high school team I've ever seen was the team a couple years ago. And everybody says you learn more after losses than wins and stuff like that, learning opportunities. Just tell me about, um, a couple years later, uh, that season where you guys were just unbelievable and were upset in the playoff bracket.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree. I mean, just because you had, Jordan, Kyle Brecken that broke a lot of school records, and some state records as well. Just the chemistry that that team had, and then I mean, with me and Coach Robinson, obviously Brecken being his son and Jordan being my son, we
Yeah.
started from like sixth grade. That's when we got Kyle and started developing him, who couldn't even catch a basketball, and just to see like the development of that team, and then just having that experience to honestly like to be able to travel the country and to be
Yeah.
able to play more games, I think, than anybody's probably ever played. Each season was an amazing experience, and then I think the thing is with them is again, they loved each other, and everybody's hangs it all on, hey, did they win a state championship or whatever.
Right.
Like that would have been just maybe the stem of the cherry,
Yeah.
on a shake, because what we got for all those years with that group and the memories and seriously is priceless. And so and I think the biggest thing too there is it goes to show that you can be the number one team in the state or whatever, and anybody can beat anybody. And that did happen. And it quickly, yeah, I mean, it's hard, obviously, because our goal was to win a state championship like everybody's is.
Yeah.
But that year was a little tough, and it put things into perspective that it is bigger than basketball. And those relationships and everything that we got through all those years of training and the good and bad is really what it's all about, is those relationships.
And then, Coach, I know you lost your dad this past year, and being at the games myself, he was always there, or 30 minutes before the game in his seat. Um, Tell me about his influence on your life in basketball, and obviously just your life in general.
Yeah, thanks for that question. Um, Obviously, being so fresh, just only being a year since his passing in a tragic way has obviously been really hard on obviously me as a coach and as a father, but also gives me perspective on what's important. And with him not being at every game for all those 19 years, even when I was the assistant, my mom and dad were at every single
Yeah.
game. And so that just not having him, in the stands or at least watching on, that's why we started doing the live streams, is because my
Yeah.
mom's kind of not in great health, and just to know that he was watching, and then to be able to, call him after every single game. I definitely missed those talks and him just basically, how proud he was, of me and of our team, and obviously some feedback, because he loved the game as well, and just having him, be a part of it was amazing, and we definitely miss him and love him.
And then alongside that, I realized I didn't really ask you. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about specifically watching your own son develop himself into, a historic high school player. I know he's continuing his high school, or excuse me, his basketball career in college, but what was that like? Just that whole process and then culminating in one of the best seasons a guard has ever had in the state.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, coaching J. Rob was, when he was younger, he was pretty small, right? And just he always had a ball in his hands. Like even in our house, we had a new house, and he was just bouncing it all over the place. My wife's like, "Are we going to let him do this in our brand new house?" I said, "We're not taking the ball out of his hands, right?" So he was able just to pound it from a little guy all the way up, and he just fell in love with the game, and so I think with him, it just he loved the game, he loved his teammates, and just watching him develop over the years was fun. And then not knowing that he was going to be like in a really good passer or whatever it was, his just game started developing, and watching him kind of make some of those passes was a lot of fun. And then I think just the relationship that we had was special also, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, was it terrible coaching your son?" Or I'm like, it
Yeah.
was the greatest experience that I've ever had. Just that relationship that we had to be able to go through all of that, all the days of traveling and all the hard times in the gyms and after the losses and learning, and probably my favorite memory with him was senior year when we were playing Timpview at Timpview. It's like a 1 point game. We got a sideline out of bounds with like 6 or 7 seconds left, and I call a timeout and set up a play, and the ball gets inbounded, and all of a sudden he changes the play, and we end up scoring on Kansas, a certain play, score on Kansas, and we win the game. So instantly, I'm like, well, shoot, I guess I guess he knows more about the game than I do now. So it was just kind of a cool, fun experience to be able to let him kind of do his thing and be able to watch that. Obviously, being his coach was a obviously an amazing experience and something I'll never forget.
Awesome. And then I'll just ask, I have everybody kind of the end coach just kind of give me their love letter to basketball, why it is so important to them and why they, have decided to make it such a big part of their life.
Yeah, I would say, the love of the game or love of even coaching. It's been a huge blessing in my life, just being able to be around such amazing administration. Um, and then it bleeds down into the faculty, the students, and then right into my players. I can honestly say that I love every single one of them. And just the relationships that we've built through the years and continue to have is again priceless that way. I would also say that, basketball has given me that opportunity to try to help others. And again, I do think it is bigger than basketball. And, I think, just the support that we've had over the years through basketball is amazing at Dixie High School. And just grateful for the opportunity that's given me to have those relationships and then to have an opportunity to be a part of these young men's lives.